Hey guys, Matt Cichlid Dojo back with another video, not the norm that you might expect, fish updates and whatnot, but kind of caught me off guard. I was in my local PetSmart to look for something else, and I saw one of these filters, Topfin Pro 110 power filter. And if you follow my channel, you know I love the hang on the back filters. I keep probably about 14 or 15 of the AquaClear 110s. I'm a big fan of those. I do have a Tidal 110, which I purchased as a kind of a trial, a comparison. And then, I saw this in the store, and so I thought, hey, let me give this a shot and see how it matches up versus my favorite filter, the AquaClear 110. And completely unscripted. I'm going to go through it and learn and be surprised and find out what this filter is all about initially. And then I do plan on doing a follow-up video later. As you can see, price-wise, it was just extremely low. And in addition to this price, I had a 30% off coupon. So I just could not pass it up. $32 out the door, and we'll get right into it here. Thanks. Okay, guys. So this is kind of the unboxing or unboxed portion where I haven't had a log any time really to look at the filter and kind of research on the features, so I'm going to kind of learn it as this video goes on, but I'm sure I'm not going to focus on all of the features, just sort of the ones that stand out to me and what are important. So we'll jump right in, and you could see the housing of this filter. It's pretty large. I'd say it's very similar, if not slightly bigger than the AquaClear 110, at least in appearance. The motor even looks very similar to the one that comes on that filter. So I'm going to open this thing up. The first thing that interests me is the media capacity. So looks like they got some sort of mechanism on here. Maybe you could tell when it's due for a replacement or to clean the media out. So thought that was neat, but I don't really need that feature too much. So obviously there's two sides to this, two halves, and you could see it does come with a portion of sponge that goes in here. I guess looking at the box here briefly, they talk about the stages. You're probably not going to be able to read this, but you can go read that online, and we'll probably cover it that way. So the first stage that they're talking about is the intake tube. So obviously the water is going to go through here, and I thought this was really neat because it comes with the sort of pre-filter that on the AquaClear 110s I have to go buy, and luckily able to find a pre-filter that fits perfectly. But this one seems like it's much better. It's a lot more coarse. I would imagine it's going to take a lot longer for this to fill and get a bunch of junk trapped in there before you have to clean it out. So I thought that was neat that they included this. And even if you don't want to use this, I think you can still take that off and use it in this manner. So it obviously adjusts, so you can have kind of AquaClear's has their extender piece, just an extra intake tube that adds on over it. This one kind of retracts and extends. That's pretty neat. It's got the surface skimmer thing, which it really served no purpose to me. And same as the Tidal, Seachem Tidal 110 filters. I didn't do a review on those. I've talked about it in one of my live videos in depth and in detail why it's just, in my opinion, for my use, it's probably inferior to the AquaClear 110. And we won't get into those reasons, but maybe I can talk about it if you guys missed that video in another live session. But the first thing I'm going to try to do is figure out a way to not use this, because it's just an extra piece. It doesn't really do me any good. I don't want it kind of sucking up my flake food or anything and getting clogged or anything. So I really don't have a use for this, but it looks like I could probably cover this up fairly easy. Maybe silicone, however I want to do it. That wouldn't be too difficult. So just minor issue on this, where the Seachem Tidal, you're stuck with the way it is. I haven't figured out a way to fix that filter to not have the surface skimmer basically trapping that filter from being used for, you know, deeper water and whatnot. So if I close this, at least this filter should work with my water level down to here, I'm guessing. And I'm not sure how airtight it would be here, or watertight, I guess you would say, for it to be even lower. So that's promising. But obviously this would fit right here over the top. And this would be what they're calling the first stage, the filter, which mechanical and biological. So that would go on here. So let's get to the number 2 portion here, which they're calling stage 2, is the mechanical filtration, and they're labeling the sponge as the phase 2. So I guess the water would go up in the middle through the intake and go through either side, and the first thing it does, it goes through these sponges before it reaches the rest of the media, and then ultimately would flow outward through the filter, the outtake, I guess you would call it. So this seems to be somewhat disappointing that it's not very customizable. I brought an AquaClear 110 filter right here, as you can tell. The AquaClear 110 can fit 2 of these. So if you look at this side by side, the amount of sponge media that it can fit without doing any sort of customization is a little less than 1 of these sponges. AquaClear can fit 2. However, you do get this that comes with it, so that adds some. So let's just say it's equal to 1 AquaClear sponge, and then so it would be about half of what AquaClear has to offer. Now you can use these ceramic rings, which they're calling stage 3. Actually, I'm sorry, stage 3 would be the chemical, which they give you some of this charcoal, activated charcoal to use, which I will never use this. I guess in the case that I want to get rid of medication, but I just typically do larger water changes. I don't really use that too often. So what am I going to put in here? I guess you could say I could put more of these ceramic rings, maybe some BioBalls, whatever I want to do. Or I could even, you know, these AquaClear 110 sponges are so cheap, you can buy them in bulk. I think I have a 20 pack out in the shed, and I might even play around with it and try to fit portions, like you can see where I'm going with this, and have them cut off right there, right? And maybe I could do one in here, because I usually use a double sponge with my AquaClears. It just makes life easier. Sometimes I'll use the BioBalls or the ceramic rings. So not bad. I would say this definitely is easier to customize, I think, than the Tidal 110. So definitely promising there. Not quite the flexibility that AquaClear has to offer. So does this snap into place? Not sure. So that goes in here. And then obviously it has the same on the other side. Other features it came with, it gives you sort of a customizable output of water flow. You can see the 2 different patterns there. There's a bunch of holes on this one. And then of course this one's just a stream, probably gives it higher, you know, when the waterfall falls through here rather than this whole area. So that's kind of interesting. I'll try to put one of these in here right now. Yeah, it fits really easy. Yeah, it fits really easy. And what I'm thinking, and what you might be thinking already, is why not use this area to add even more media? I'm not sure if that would cause it to bypass or not, but that's just the thought that I had. And then where is the big bypass as far as not flowing out the back of your filter? Like I've had that issue with the Tidal 110. It flows back if you don't have it leveled properly. Not really sure where it would come back into the tank, bypassing the media. Probably through this area, I'm guessing. This is a lower point. Yeah, so anyways, I think the other features, not a whole lot I can talk about or that are really that important to me, but it says 500 GPH. I'm definitely going to give it a shot. And in the next portion, we're going to see it set up side by side with an AquaClear 110 on one of my tanks. So we'll get to that next here. All right, guys. So I immediately after the last segment of video, the unboxing portion, I went straight into my fish room, my garage, and had the spot in mind that I was going to put the new filter here that we're testing out right there, as you can see, and have some really bad news. The filter does not even fit on the rim of this tank. So let me show you. It looks kind of close, but it's not really that close. So looks like we're not going to get to see the side-by-side comparison that I had hoped. But this is kind of the point of this whole video that I wanted to do. I didn't want it kind of rehearsed or to know about anything ahead of time, and I'm finding it out as we go. So I'll show you why this is the issue. You can see the rim of my tank right there where the glass lids would sit. It has to at least go past that portion. It does not even allow, it just hits that part right there. And that's very disappointing. It means that on my 120 gallon tanks with this size plastic frame, it can't even fit. It won't even work. And kind of what that tells me is that maybe these filters were not designed for large tanks, period. I know, generally speaking, and a lot of you might be thinking or commenting that why wouldn't you just use a canister filter or a sump? Well, for one, it's only a 120 gallon tank. I personally feel that's not even necessary. And with the maintenance, the ease of maintenance, I should say, for these hang on the backs and the lower power consumption, I'm just a huge hang on the back fan. I've had canisters before, you know, they worked very good. It's just the maintenance was a pain in the butt for me. In addition, they consume more power than these hang on the backs. So that's disappointing. We won't get to see a side-by-side on this tank like I had hoped. I know that the titles should fit, and we're gonna go over here. So I don't really have a script here, so we're just jumping around. This tank right here is, I believe it's called an Aquarium Masters tank. It's a local builder, and I have multiple of these. I really like them. They're very good for the money. And apparently this frame is too thick, so I'm not sure if it's just the frame size that's used, but we can go back over here. As you can see, I have this tank is another 120 gallon. This is an Aqueon tank, so a much more mainstream tank, and both it appears this frame is identical to the other Aquarium Masters tank. And both the Tidal and the AquaClear 110 have no problems fitting. So I'm gonna say that the new filter, our top fins here, the Top Fin Pro, is definitely not made for larger tanks. So that's very disappointing. I'm gonna see if I can get this thing set up on a 75 gallon. And if it does not fit that, I have no use for this whatsoever. I'm not going to be using this on a 40 gallon breeder. It's unusable in my opinion, because I don't know why you would, 500 gallons per hour, 110 gallon rated filter, essentially, can't even fit a 120 gallon tank. So it better at least fit a 75. Otherwise we're going to have problems. So I'm gonna hopefully cover that here in a second after I give that a shot. All right, I'll be right back. All right, guys, so after failing on the 120 gallon to get this filter to fit on, I tried a 75 gallon from Aqueon. I believe is a brand, a pretty mainstream brand. It did not fit on that tank either. So I was about ready to give up and just say, you know, warning to everyone, caution, kind of, you know, on a lot of glass tanks, it may not fit the rim, but I decided to give it one last shot. I have this different brand. It's called a Vizio brand tank, which I'm kind of going away from using those, but I still have some of them. And the rim on these tanks is much thinner. And so, sure enough, it fit on this tank. So I'm happy that it did. I had an AquaClear 110 here. I just had to swap it out. I put that onto the 75 that I was gonna add this. And then I put this on this tank, which is a 90 gallon. And you could see it running here for the first time. Media wise, I just put the ceramic media in the top on that bottom drawer, which I believe is phase 2. I don't have anything in there right now, but it appears to be pretty good flow. Yeah, I can kind of understand a little bit about how this thing is working here. I was talking previously in the unboxing portion that I didn't know how it was going to overflow, and now I can kind of see. So I'm guessing if this ever gets clogged, which I'm not sure if it could, it is lower than the rim of this. So it would flow over this sort of compartment here that you can pull out. It would flow over this and then would go down into this portion. And this portion I don't think could ever fill up to the top because there's a pretty wide area to open. Now on this side, I'm trying out the little, one of the little attachments they give you where you can direct the flow out of these holes and just to see. And obviously it's filling up a little bit more, maybe just to there. Then this side, it just kind of comes right out because it's just a much bigger hole. And so I don't think I'll ever have an issue with overflowing out of the tank like I have with my Seachem Tidal. So I like it overall, and I did notice one additional feature that I hadn't mentioned previously. It has this little dial to adjust flow. So I can take this thing pretty much, this is the lowest I can take it, and it's you know, trickling out there. So that's sort of like the Seachem Tidal. It can go pretty low and still have a little trickling flow. The AquaClear 110's a little bit higher is the lowest flow. So yeah, it has this feature as well. So I actually like it so far. I really wish it didn't have that tank rim, the thicker rim tank issue, because it only allows me to use this on so many tanks in this fish room. I believe I have like 3 other Vizios that I could use this on, but I can't use it on any of the latest brand, that Aquarium Masters, that I'm starting to like that tank. I can't use it on my Aqueon tanks, which you can find really cheap at like PetSmart. I think the 75s run me like 99 bucks or 150 bucks. I can't remember. Really cheap. And so that's disappointing, but overall, as an initial review, I'm not saying one way or another, I'm just giving my thoughts as of using this thing for literally 10 minutes. It appears good. One minor thing I noticed here, and you can see it happening, is this rim, or the housing sits really high on this filter, and the output here of this section is getting a little bit on top of the glass. So it's getting a little water accumulation on top of the glass, and I'm wondering if I could angle this thing a little bit better to angle it down more, or if using these, you know, kind of outputs, which would be this one, if I use this here, maybe it would stop that. So let's give it a shot here. You really got to kind of snap it in. And so now it kind of forces it to go down a little bit more. And yeah, it actually did the trick. That was me just trying it for the first time. And now it doesn't seem to have any water accumulating on top of the glass lid. What you do see is definitely water is accumulating up. It appears that water is filling up on this side more so than this side. So I know the tank is level, and I'm not sure why it's going through more flow on the left side than the right. So that's interesting. But I'll definitely keep an eye on this. If this creeps up too high, eventually I'm gonna have to have some concerns and probably have to pull this thing out. And we'll go from there. But you know, putting this lid on and completing the process appears to be a pretty good filter initially. I would rank it as my second favorite right now, not knowing much about it, how it performs long term, and how I'm gonna, you know, like or hate the maintenance on this thing. But it doesn't seem like it's gonna be that bad, especially if I can find, you know, really good use and you know, for the media baskets that it has, those different stages. It you know, might be something that works in here on some of those tanks that it actually fits on the rim. So I like it so far, and I'm definitely going to give at least a part 2 update on this filter long term, or maybe medium term, I should say, to see if I notice anything different. But as of right now, I approve, and I think, kind of mentioned in the beginning, in the introduction on why I'm doing this video, I got this filter extremely cheap. You know, PetSmart has these coupons that you can get for playing their little games on the phone. Plus, I got a 30% off coupon this time, and it was already marked at, I think, $49 when it was normal price is $69, which is already much lower than the Tidal or the AquaClear. And so out the door price was $32. And I don't think you can beat that for a new filter. You know, I've tried some cheaper versions like the Aqueon 5575, and if you may have heard me mention that in my live videos. I've had 3 of those Aqueons, and the motors burnt out within 6 months. All 3 of them, brand new. So hopefully this doesn't do the same thing. We're gonna have to see if this thing can last, kind of like the AquaClear 110s have lasted me, and I really haven't had any die off. They're just absolute workhorses, and so only time will tell. We'll see going forward, guys. So really appreciate if you guys ask any questions you have on this, or any comments, things I may have missed. Again, I'm not rehearsing these things. There's no script. I'm just kind of doing them just like I do most of my videos. I'm just talking about it, my experience, and learning at every point is my goal. So anyways, give me a like on the video if you liked it, and some comments would be great, and we'll go from there. So anyways, thanks a lot, guys. Till next one. Bye.